Well, everybody, the Oscars is over, the internet is completely calm, and nobody is arguing. The world is a pretty good place right now. I'm just kidding. What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. I was sitting at work today not knowing what else to do. I should have been working, but I was thinking about movies, and I was thinking about all of the things that I wanted to win the categories in the Oscars, whether it's Best Picture, Best Actor, Actress, etc. And I thought to myself, wait a second, I have a YouTube channel. I can just come make a video and talk about it, and that's what I'm doing today. Today, I'm going to tell you guys what I believe should have won each individual category in the Oscars. And how I'm going to go about this, I'm going to present in the exact same order as the Oscars did. So we'll be starting with Best Supporting Actress, and I'm not going to give you guys nominations. All I'm going to do is tell you what movie for me in 2018 won each category. It's completely and utterly opinionated, so you guys statistically will not agree with me in every category, but once again, this is my favorite in each category. Not movies that were even nominated. Some of these films were not even mentioned last night, weren't part of the ceremony, which is sad to me, but that's because these are my favorites. Now, what I want you guys to do is get in the comments section below. Let me know, what did you guys have as your best picture of 2018, best actor, best actress, etc. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible, but since we are talking about favorites, of course, my personal opinion is going to rear its little head up in there, and let me know what you guys think of my picks. I'm sure that's going to be a lovely discussion. It's also going to give you guys some insight into what movies I picked in the categories for the Flick Fan Awards, so that should be fun. For Supporting Actress, I will blow through these as quickly as possible, but you guys know me, I like to talk, and I actually have to agree with the Academy on this one. It will happen a few times tonight, and the first one, Regina King for Supporting Actress in If Beale Street Could Talk, I completely agree. It's the first time in a long time when the Oscars just nailed it from the beginning. She has been talked about nonstop, and I think they got it right. Her performance in If Beale Street Could Talk is one of the most memorable things about the movie. That and the score, which I thought was phenomenal. Both of those things are great, but Regina King gives a monumental performance. Next up, Best Documentary. Now, I haven't watched as many documentaries as I should have, but this is my personal favorite of 2018, and you guys know what I'm going with. Won't You Be My Neighbor, a film that was completely and utterly snubbed for the nomination in the Academy Awards last night. Shout out to Three Identical Strangers, but the way that I felt walking out of Won't You Be My Neighbor and the man that Mr. Rogers is, the fact that they could craft a movie around that and make this man so likable, try their best to find things that make him unlikable, but just make this film so engaging, is impressive. It's one of my personal favorite in my top 20 movies of last year, and it's by far one of the best documentaries I've watched in a long time. Makeup and hairstyling, once again, I agree with the Academy. They got it right last night, and I like Vice. I think it's okay. I don't think it should have been nominated for Best Picture, and half of the things that it was nominated for, but if we're talking about makeup and hairstyling, and that's the thing about these categories, you can't just say, well, I didn't like this movie, so it shouldn't win costume design or production design. No, you have to look at the individual category, and if we're talking makeup and hairstyling, just look at the way that they made those actors look just like the people in real life, whether it's Steve Carell or Amy Adams or even Christian Bale. I thought that was one of the best parts of the film. And the reason I said that just a second ago is because I do believe costume design should have went to Black Panther. Again, I hate the fact that I'm agreeing with the Academy so much so far. It's going to stop soon, trust me. But right now, I have to say Black Panther because going back and looking at it, even looking at the nominees last night, I think the best costumes were the costumes that were associated with, one, a superhero movie. You make sense, costumes and superheroes. But two, I just thought the designs were incredible in Black Panther. The colors, the landscape, all of that was great in that movie. But what really stood out to me was what they wore. Now we go to production design, an award that went to Black Panther last night, and while I think the production design in that movie was great, I think the production design in Roma is even better than that. Listen, Roma is a gorgeous looking movie. You can compliment so many technical elements, from the directing that got complimented last night to the cinematography that got complimented last night, but one thing that I personally love about it was just the way that the movie looked, from the backdrops to the things happening in the background, and the way it was all laid out. All of that comes back to production design and how gorgeously crafted this film was, and that's why I have to go with Roma. Cinematography, one of my personal favorite categories. I'm very happy with who the award went to last night. I think Roma deserved it out of all of those nominees, but there is a film that did not get nominated that, from a personal standpoint, I like the cinematography just a bit more. Now, it's all subjective, of course, as all of these nominees and categories are. I just love the way that Hereditary, every single shot was framed, and I didn't even notice this as much the first time that I watched the film, but I went back and rewatched it, and every element, every tiny camera movement, the way that we followed around our characters, the way that things were framed, all of it was so gorgeous, and I appreciated Ari Aster's cinematography so much more the second time, and I have to say that after sitting down and thinking about it, I like the cinematography in Hereditary even more than Roma. Now, Roma is gorgeous. They do use a lot of wide shots, barely any close-ups of the characters. I like the fact that they're doing different things in Hereditary. They're centering shots, they're angling things a bit different. Every single scene is different, and that's why I like it, and that's why I have to give it the win for cinematography. Sound editing, an award that went to Bohemian Rhapsody last night, and the sound editing in that movie is good, but I don't think it should have won. My vote was for, I think First Man deserved it, but my personal vote for this category was A Quiet Place, because when I think of sound, or the lack of sound, or just the use of sound, I think of A Quiet Place. Well, there's another movie too, but I think of A Quiet Place in 2018, and the way that it was all edited together was just audible glory. Is that a term? I've coined that term. No, I have to give it to A Quiet Place, because when there is sound on screen, it is its own thing, and I think it deserves that win. Now, sound mixing. First off, I want to throw out another honorable mention in both of these categories. Mission Impossible Fallout. Where was the... Listen, I know it's a Tom Cruise action movie, yada, 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 but no, go back and actually watch the film and pay attention to how incredible this movie is, and then look at the aspects of sound. How was this not nominated for either category? I think that comes very close to winning this specific category, as does A Quiet Place, but I had to give sound mixing to First Man. I think First Man, the way that that movie sounded. Now, maybe it's the fact that I watched this in IMAX, but the brilliance of the space scenes and the rockets and the fire and the crackling, all of it was just so gorgeously put together. And it's another reason why when I think about First Man, I think about many things, but it all goes back to the experience that I had in the theater. Why was my experience so good? Like 50% of the reason was because it sounded incredible. This movie is a technical achievement, and I wish more people in the Academy would have appreciated it. Foreign language film, I mean, Roma was the only one out of all of the major categories that I watched. I mean, I really enjoy movies like The Night Comes for Us, but you guys know I have to give it to Roma. Next up is editing. I am a huge fan of editing myself as a guy who sits down and edits like one video a day for both this and my actual job. I want this to be my actual job, but my other job that I'm working at right now. But Bohemian Rhapsody won this award last night, and I can see why people voted for it, because the director fiasco and the movie could have been super choppy, but the guy came in and edited together, blah, blah, blah. That's not my choice. My choice for the editing category is a movie that was not nominated for the Oscar, and my choice is American Animals. That's right, you guys knew I would have to give American Animals something tonight, and the award that I'm going to give it is the Editing Award, because the way that they seamlessly flow from documentary-style filmmaking to actual acting with actors, the story, the way that it was put together, the ending, all of it was edited together in a way that just sucks you in and does not let you go until the main end of the film. And just that first shot showing the mosaics and the pieces of art of all of the animals, guys, I love the way this film was edited. I said it the first time I watched it. This has to get nominated, it has to win, right, Academy? Right? Supporting actor, I'm going to keep this short. Mahershala Ali won last night. Mahershala Ali is going to win right now for me. I think his performance... Now, a lot of people will argue that he was the main actor in that film, but I'm going with what everyone has been putting him at, and everyone's been saying he's supporting, and because of that, he was one of my favorite performances overall of the year. Animated movie, is this even a question? Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is far and away the winner in this category. Listen, I loved Incredibles 2, loved Isle of Dogs, really enjoyed Ralph Breaks the Internet. I even liked The Death of Superman, but you know what? I'm giving it to Spider-Verse. By the way, if you want to see my updated rankings, they have changed. Not drastically, but, you know, they have changed since I released my top 10 list of 2018. You guys might want to go see where Spider-Verse is right now. Visual effects. Here's my argument for First Man. I will start with that. I think First Man is so brilliant when it comes to the visual effects, and a lot of people are looking at it and going, First Man won because it's an Oscar movie. No, it's not an Oscar movie. It's a movie that the Academy has ignored and rejected all Oscar season. It only nominated it for technical categories. It did not get the campaigning. It did not get the ads. It did not get the Oscar love that I think it should have gotten. But the reason it won visual effects is not because it's an Oscar film. It won visual effects because the visual effects are so seamless. The reason that you can't tell there are visual effects is because they're so good. Go watch some of the behind the scenes stuff and you're going to be like, I had no clue that was a visual effect. Why does it look so incredible? And then you'll understand that a lot of this stuff on screen that looks completely and utterly practical, realistic, is actually a CGI special effect. But a movie that I have to put slightly above that just because this is what my heart is telling me is Avengers Infinity War. Now, you can tell these are visual effects. You can tell there's a lot of CGI here, but the CGI is really good. There are one or two shots towards the end, especially with Mark Ruffalo's really green screen head in the Iron Man suit. Let's all face it, that looks really bad. But I look at the Doctor Strange fight, I look at everything that happened on Titan, and I look at Thanos and how incredible, guys, the motion capture for Thanos. I can't even think about it without getting goosebumps all over my body. It is monumentally incredible, and it is one of the reasons why I think Infinity War should have taken home the award last night. Best Original Screenplay. This goes to Bo Burnham's 8th Grade. Ever since I saw this movie, I just thought the screenplay, the script, the dialogue, the conversations, the genuine nature of this movie, it all comes back to, well, Bo Burnham as a director, but also as a writer. I love the dialogue in this film. The screenplay is incredible. It's original. It's something that is just so realistic. You know kids talk like this on a daily basis. The cringeworthy nature of the movie, it's also incredibly handled, and that's why it wins Original Screenplay. For Best Adapted Screenplay, I have to go with the winner from last night. I have to go with BlacKkKlansman. Even though it's not my favorite movie of the year, it's in my top 20. I think the movie is awesome. A very close second to Blind Spotting, because I thought the screenplay in Blind Spotting was great. But BlacKkKlansman really, when you look at what makes the film go, it is one, what are those actors and actresses delivering? That is the brilliant dialogue. The conversations is what makes this movie flow. And I think because of all of those aspects, the screenplay was awesome. You look at the script of BlacKkKlansman, and it is so creative and inventive and funny and engaging, and that's what a good screenplay needs to do. Best Original Score. Listen, I'm not mad that Black Panther won, because going back and just listening to it on my way home from work today, it is fantastic. The scene where they arrive in Wakanda, the guy going, "See me now." That is not what that sounds like at all. That was a really bad attempt, but you guys know what I mean. The score is awesome, and I love it. And the score in If Beale Street Could Talk is incredible. I think about it, I get chills, I get emotional, but you guys know where I'm going with this. It's the movie that was snubbed. I think about First Man, and I think about all of those aspects I mentioned before, but the reason I didn't mention the score is because that's the score that is going to win for me for this category, guys. This is my favorite score of the year. The moon landing sequence, the third act. One could argue that the defining factor and feature of that scene is the music underneath it and what they did and how it made you feel, guys. Go and listen to it. It's the most patriotic and incredible and mind-bending thing you will hear in 2018. It may not be your personal favorite, but you have to admit, it's a really good score. Oh, and shout out to Infinity War. I knew it wouldn't get nominated, but that's also a fantastic score. Song? Shallow. With a shout out to Ashes from Deadpool 2. Moving on! All right, Best Actor, and I really wanted to go somewhere with this that people are not anticipating or expecting. I want to throw you guys a curveball. Now, I could go with Rami Malek because I did like his performance a lot. I thought he was great in Bohemian Rhapsody. I could go with Bradley Cooper because the man deserves an Oscar just for doing everything. He learned how to play guitar. He learned how to sing better. He wrote the movie. He directed the film. The guy is incredible. And he got no love last night, and it hurt my feelings, except for that performance. It was really good. Or I could even go with Christian Bale, but why do something that everybody expects? I'm going to choose Daveed Diggs from Blind Spotting. If you guys haven't seen Blind Spotting, I encourage you to go check this movie out. I thought his performance was emotional, it was captivating, it was subtle, it was something that you look at and you say, well, it doesn't seem like he's showing a lot of range in this scene, but you look at this other scene, and it's like you can tell that he's stressed out, something is bothering him. He always has this essence about him. One, I've always thought he was a great actor, just from the commercials that he's been in, but then I saw him in a movie called Wonder, and all he did in that film was play a teacher, but I said to myself, there's something about this guy, and then I found out he was very famous on Broadway, and the guy can act. I always knew he could, but Blind Spotting shows you a different side of Daveed Diggs. And all I have to point you to tell you guys why I believe he was, not definitively, but he was my personal favorite actor in 2018. Go watch that final scene. Even if you don't want to watch the entire film, just type it in on YouTube, Daveed Diggs rap scene, final scene in Blind Spotting. Guys, it is incredible. It's emotional. It's a gut punch. It is one of the most underrated performances I have ever seen, and I can't wait to see what this guy does next. Best Actress. Now, I'm very happy that Olivia Colman won this last night. She was awesome in The Favorite. I thought Glenn Close was going to win. I just watched The Wife, and she was great. But my personal choice is a choice that I think the Academy completely and utterly overlooked, and that is Toni Collette in Hereditary. Her performance in Hereditary is brilliant. She is so good. Her emotional range is better than any emotional range I saw last year. I said Daveed Diggs was my favorite male performance of last year. Toni Collette was my favorite performance. She was the best actor/actress of 2018, bar none. Mark it down. She was the best. No clue what happened with the Academy Awards. I don't know why they overlooked her. Just from that one dinner table scene alone, you can tell that she was doing something special with Hereditary, guys. Toni Collette, massively overlooked last night. She's who I would have picked. Best Director, again, I'm going to come close to picking Bradley Cooper because I thought he was brilliant as the director, but I have to give it to Cuarón because Roma is his baby. He wrote it, he produced it, he directed it, he did the cinematography, he did everything. This is his film, and he crafted it so well. And the heart that that film evokes, especially when you get into that last hour, it is so incredible what he was able to do, how he was able to handle actors that have never acted a day in their life. They come in, and you would think they've been doing this for 10 years, guys. That's a director. Whatever you think about Roma, look at what Cuarón did, and that's impressive. That's why he is my director of 2018. I think the Oscars got it right. That's what I got to deal with. Best Picture. Now, I am going to cheat. I'm actually going to give you guys two movies that are my Best Picture. One of those is in my top 3. I'm not going to say where it is. You guys can go to my letterbox and check it out. And the other one is actually not in my top 3 of last year. It's number 4. A lot of you expect me to say Avengers Infinity War, and yes, I love that film. Marvel fanboy, I love the movie. I'm not going to give it to that. A lot of you expect me to say American Animals. I just don't think enough people saw that film for me to give it Best Picture because this is my choice of what should have been nominated and should have won. A movie like that just doesn't get nominated. I never thought it had a chance just because nobody watched it, so I'm not going to pick American Animals, even though clearly I love that film. I'm going to pick a movie that I believe has a combination of everything it takes to make a great film, everything it takes to make a movie that resonates with kids and adults and every audience member that watches it. And the first film that I'm going to list off out of the two, because once again I am cheating, is Eighth Grade, my 4th favorite movie as of right now of 2018, and I just believe this movie has everything that it takes to make a really good film that people are going to remember for a long time coming. Bo Burnham, what he did with this movie. I've always been a Bo Burnham fan, but to create a character that is so awkward yet lovable, and you want her to succeed, you want her to find friendship, you just want her to do good, and the heartfelt nature that the relationship between her and her father has, all of those things I think are handled and executed so well. I don't know how this wasn't nominated for Best Picture. A movie like Vice gets nominated over this, and I just sit back and I'm blown away with some of the decisions. It's all a popularity contest. Yes, we know that. But my Academy Award pick is 8th Grade. Now I'm going to give you guys another one that I believe has all of the same elements, whether it's coming-of-age story, which is something that 8th Grade has, characters that resonate, dialogue that's fantastic, a good father-son / father-daughter relationship, and just a story that is so new and fresh and different, mixed with awesome animation. You guys know where I'm going. That is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Why could it not get nominated for Best Picture? Toy Story 3 was nominated for Best Picture. Up was nominated for Best Picture. Spider-Verse, I believe, deserved that nomination. Maybe it came out too late in the year. It was in December. It kind of snuck up and took the animated category by storm, which a movie can rarely do when it's coming out that late, but it managed to do that. I believe it should have managed to get nominated for Best Picture because this movie is just brilliant, and not because it's a Spider-Man movie. Guys, I walked into this film not anticipating to love it as much as I did. I said, oh, it looks okay. I thought the trailers were fine, and I didn't know if it was... I'm a big Incredibles 2 guy. It can't be better than Incredibles 2, but it was a lot better than Incredibles 2, and at this point, I mean, it could end up being one of my favorite animated movies of all time just because of the character depth, the way that they can throw so many things at you at once on screen, but manage to make you care about each and every one of them, guys. 8th Grade and Spider-Verse are very different movies, but they have similar features that I believe make a Best Picture, and that's why those two are my picks. They're not necessarily my two favorite movies, 1 and 2 of last year, but they're both in my top 4. I love them both very much, and I cannot wait until Spider-Verse comes out on Blu-ray. Yes! So those are my picks, guys. Doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. People who aren't watching this video will never know what I chose, and they probably don't care what I chose, but I appreciate you watching this nonetheless. I had to vent. I had to get all of this out there because there were just some things that I thought were completely snubbed, some things that weren't nominated, and that could be a completely different video, but this is my last video where I will focus on the calendar year of 2018. We're done. It's over. Oscars are done. These were my picks. Now we shift our focus to 2019 and we anticipate what is to come later on this year. So many good movies, so many good things happening, so many awesome things on Netflix, whether it's a TV show or a movie. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me, so much for watching my videos, watching the Flick Fan Awards, watching my reactions last night to the Oscars. You guys stick with me more than anybody, and I truly appreciate that. You are the absolute best. I'll be back very soon with my best and worst movies and TV shows of February, and I'll catch you later.